Hey everyone, I'm going to walk you through doing your score marking assignment. So as musicians, we mark a score. That means we are writing notes to ourselves in our music. So in this case, you're doing it virtually because I've given you the music virtually. So you are either looking at this, the Google slide, or you can look at the PDF I posted in Classroom and use one of those and edit it using Kami. I'm going to walk you through this using the slide, but you can do pretty much everything you want in Kami if you prefer using that to edit documents. So the first thing I've asked for is for you to mark where you're going to breathe. And we talked about in class how we know where to breathe because it's the end of a phrase. So I've put in some breath marks here for you that you can move and put where you want to breathe. Now, if you need some more, here's a neat little trick. You can press Control D, and then another one pops up. Okay, so I am gonna do my breathing marks first and just show you a few. So, oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. That's the end of a sentence. So I'm gonna put my breath mark right here because I know now as a singer, I need to breathe. From glen to glen and down the mountainside. So I'm gonna put another one here. Another thing, oh, I want to put that for that. Okay, another thing I asked you to do is to mark where not to breathe. So an easy way to do that is to look at where you'd be tempted to breathe, like after this comma, but it's not the end of the phrase, so I want to make sure that's connected. So I can just insert a text box and put that, oops, right up here. And I'm going to put no breath, and I can highlight that if I want to. Make it smaller, and then I'm gonna move it here to remind myself not to breathe. And then once you've made this, you can still do that same Control D trick and move it somewhere else where you should probably not breathe, like from glen to glen and down the mountainside. Okay, now I would continue doing my breath marks through the piece. So even the second part of the piece that we haven't sung yet in class, I can still look through and find where I see the ends of sentences. And here's my breath mark again, another one on this slide. You can duplicate that breath mark and move it where you need to, where you see the end of a phrase. Okay, so that's how you're gonna mark your breathing. The second thing is just to circle dynamic. So what I would do here is insert a shape, a circle. Then I'm going to make that circle over here. Make sure it's transparent. Then I'm going to thicken the line of that circle and make it a pretty color. And then I'm going to circle dynamics that I see. So here's one. Now, same thing again, I can use that Control D and duplicate that circle and move it wherever else I see dynamics. Control circle, I can make this a little bigger. So I would look for more crescendos, decrescendos here on page 2. Here's some more dynamic markings that you should be looking at, okay? Now, there's some tempo markings here, and we haven't talked about that yet in class. So if it's not one of these italicized like words like F or P or M, F, kind of ignore that and look at those crescendos, decrescendos. So that's our dynamic markings. Okay, so now I'm going to underline any words that I think are important. And this is more of your artistic choice, how you're interpreting the story of the song and how you want to demonstrate it when you are singing. So you're kind of planning out what you think is the most important. So I'm going to show you some examples. So I'm going to insert another shape here. And I'm going to use like a square or rectangle. And I'm just going to make it really skinny. It's just easier because then once again, I can make this really skinny and do whatever color I want. And then I can just duplicate that under words that I like and kind of reshape it. So I'm going to, first word I'm going to do is Danny. I think that's really important because that's who the song is about. So I'm going to underline Danny here. I think the word calling is important. So I'm going to duplicate that and go down here to calling. And then any other word I think is important. So you can read it to yourself and then say, which word sticks out to me there? Read through the whole piece and continue that here on this slide too. And then the fourth thing I asked you to do is just put in any notes or reminders to yourself that you think are important. And you can just do that by putting in a text box. So something that might be important would be to remember to breathe at the beginning, put a little note to what you think the song is about, how you're connecting to it, things like that. We don't need to do too much of that yet because we've just touched on these few things here in the beginning. So when you're done, your slide should have all these kinds of marks on it and all these kinds of marks on the second slide. Or if you're using the PDF in Kami, same kind of thing. You can use the highlighter, write notes to yourself, things like that, just so you're showing me you're going to be thinking about where you're breathing. You're going to be thinking about dynamics that you should be singing and planning out what words are important to you. You're planning out your singing process as you begin to work on this piece and not just jumping right into singing it. Okay, let me know if you have any questions about this, and I will see you all later. Bye.